In this quick tip, we're going to look at how to reset Remote Desktop Manager to its original settings. This process is useful when you're troubleshooting installation-related issues or unexpected behavior and want to determine whether the problem is tied to the local configuration. By resetting the application, you can quickly identify whether a corrupted or misconfigured setting is causing the issue. The purpose of resetting Remote Desktop Manager is to restore it to a default state, similar to a fresh installation, without fully uninstalling or reinstalling the application. This is done by renaming the local configuration folder so that Remote Desktop Manager generates a new one on launch. Before you begin, make sure that Remote Desktop Manager is completely closed. This is an important step, as the application cannot recreate its configuration folder properly if it's still running in the background. Once you've closed Remote Desktop Manager, you're going to want to go to the File Explorer. Here, you'll be able to navigate to your C drive, Users, your username, App Data, Local, and then Devolutions. It's here that you'll find a folder named Remote Desktop Manager. Once you've found the folder, you'll want to rename it to something that indicates it's no longer in use. For example, we can rename it Remote Desktop Manager.old. This preserves your existing configuration while allowing the application to generate a new one. Once this folder has been renamed, launch Remote Desktop Manager again. When it starts, it will automatically create a new Remote Desktop Manager folder with default configurations. At this point, the application should behave as if it's just been freshly installed. So I've reopened Remote Desktop Manager again, and you'll notice right away that I currently have a prompt to choose a data source, which I didn't have to do earlier as my data sources originally were already all configured. You'll notice also that under the same path in File Explorer, I now have a brand new Remote Desktop Manager folder. So this is the old one with all of my old configurations, and this is the new one with all of the default factory settings in Remote Desktop Manager. So right now it's behaving as if I've never configured anything because it's using all of the contents in this folder rather than the one that I renamed with .old. This is where you can now test to see if the issue you were experiencing still occurs. If the problem is resolved, then it was likely related to the previous configuration. If, however, resetting Remote Desktop Manager does not resolve the issue, you can revert to your original configuration. To do this, you'll want to close Remote Desktop Manager again. So we are going to open it up here, and we will just close this. And then what you'll want to do is delete this newly created folder and rename this as Remote Desktop Manager. So we're only going to remove the .old at the end of the folder's name. Now that I've set up the old Remote Desktop Manager folder, if I reopen Remote Desktop Manager, we'll notice that all of my old configurations have returned and my SQL server will open right away. If you have further questions, be sure to consult the documentation and knowledge base articles for additional guidance.